Mr. President, don't do it. Please don't do it. When President Donald Trump first got to Washington, he really didn't know who his friends were and who they weren't. And because of that, he had to rely on people to make recommendations to him as to individuals that ought to serve on his cabinet, ought to serve as his advisors, ought to serve him to get his agenda through. And you know, like in many presidential administrations, it's not simply the Trump administration. There were some bad picks and some people gotta go. There were some people that he picked that we were all kind of like, okay, why he ever picked Omarosa, but Trump is somebody who sometimes is loyal to a fault. In other words, if you have been publicly supportive of him, if you have helped to further initially what he wanted to get done, you got rewarded. Even if you really didn't deserve that type of trust, he gave it to you. And it has bitten him a couple of times. And there were some key people that he let go that, had whatever issues going on behind closed doors that we don't know about. And then there were people that he hired that really weren't his people. He took the recommendations and it turned out they were just deep state swamp dwellers. And they are gone. For the life of me, I don't understand why now, knowing what he knows, he is bringing traitor, Huckleberry Hound Gowdy onto his legal team to help him in this impeachment process. Mr. President, please don't do it. Every time I talk about Trey Gowdy, I get some of you who unsubscribe, you turn me off, swearing to never again listen to my radio show because you are convinced that Trey Gowdy is one of us. You are convinced he's a good guy. I need you to rethink that. And I don't have time to sit here and relitigate all that, so I have dug into my radio archives, and I take you back to July 2017, when I laid out the case that Trey Gowdy was not there to expose the swamp, he's there to protect the swamp. That he even purposely threw and tanked the Benghazi investigation. We'll get into that a little bit later. But first, I want you to understand that Trey Gowdy was there to support Team Mueller, to help Team Mueller, and quietly, as a Trojan horse, take out President Donald Trump. The radio archives of the Afternoon Drive, July 2017.
Yes, it's another day and another Russia.
Marcia.
Thought we cleared this up yesterday. I said Russia.
Marcia.
You know what? Maybe it is Marcia, because I feel like I'm in this is like Groundhog Day. You know that movie with Bill Murray, the one where his day repeats over and 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 over every day. Russia.
Marcia.
Now we've moved on to Don Jr. Because after all, we got to take him out so that he doesn't get any aspirations of his own.
In terms of showing intent, the Trump campaign is never going to be able to deny again that if there was in fact collusion, it didn't intend to do it. This is just a big misunderstanding.
Yeah, they can, because you guys keep misdefining, purposely, lying about the definition of collusion. You make it out that just the fact the Trump people, you make it sound like if anybody brought them dirt on the opponent, collusion. But apparently, Fraud Gowdy, who used to be a lawyer, doesn't know the law.
Is it illegal to speak to a foreign national who you believe is going to turn over opposition research on a candidate?
I haven't been a real lawyer in 7 years, Martha, so I'm not sure I'm qualified to answer the legality of it.
Well, gosh, gee whiz there, Trey Gowdy. I haven't been a real lawyer in 7 years, and I think they might have changed the law. So Huckleberry Hound doesn't have a clue. Well, I got a clue. I haven't liked Trey Gowdy for a long time. The way he, I thought, bungled the whole Benghazi investigation, and now I realize he didn't bungle it. He has outed himself through Freudian slips as part of the deep state. He is now. He has been. He's a never-Trumper. It's why he turned down a cabinet position. He doesn't like Donald Trump. And he put on the dog and pony show of the whole Benghazi hearings and investigation, and at times he can even talk tough in those meetings, but it's all done with a wink and a nod to the people he's talking to, from everybody like James Comey Island. We now see that Trey Gowdy is, in fact, an absolute, total, and complete fraud. He doesn't know if it's against the law. What kind of lawyer was he? Then he goes on.
The good news for us is we have a guy named Robert Mueller, who's a former United States attorney and the head of the FBI. And if you look at the document that empowers him with jurisdiction, the very first entry links coordination between the Russian government and members of the Trump campaign. So I'm going to let Bob Mueller sort out all the criminality. That is not the job of members of Congress. It is not the job of the New York Times.
In other words, I want everybody else to stop talking about it because, we're going to let Bob Mueller do what he needs to do to ramrod President Trump right out of office. He has all but acknowledged he's deep state. Bob Mueller and James Comey are best pals. And the whole intel community is in bed with each other to leak and to do everything they can to undermine and destroy this president. And now Trey Gowdy, Huckleberry Hound, has now said, we're going to let him destroy Donald Trump. We're going to let him make up evidence. We're going to let him interpret the law the way he wants to interpret it. And we're going to get this guy out of there. That's what he's saying. Make no mistake about it. Trey Gowdy is an absolute fraud, and he didn't nail Hillary Rodham Clinton because he didn't want to. Are you hearing me? Are some of you guys that like Trey Gowdy, some of you conservatives, some of you Tea Party guys who like Trey Gowdy, are you hearing this? Here's more.
Yeah, I'm troubled on three levels. Number one, the legal level.
You said you don't know the law.
Mueller's lane. The political level, Martha, here we are beginning another week, this one in July, with a new revelation about Russia. And then
Hold it there, Huckleberry. Yeah, here we are, starting a new month and a new scandal, and well, I just can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can. Every time your president gains ground and gets things done, the left come out of nowhere and they hit him and they create this barrage of this media blitz trying to take him out. And where the president ought to be able to rely on getting some cover and some defense and some support, i.e. his own party, he's got to worry about being shot by McCain, shot by Lindsey Graham, quasi-shot by Paul Ryan, and now apparently you too. You're a fraud, Trey Gowdy. You are a Huckleberry Hound. And unfortunately, you've your way all the way to Capitol Hill. And that's frightening. You're deep state. And I'd like to find out who owns you, Trey. Who are you beholden to? Who pumps money into your campaign? Who bought your summer house? Who do you owe big time? And we'll let Trey continue.
Third, which is more of a medical issue, is the amnesia of people that are in the Trump orbit. Someone close to the president needs to get everyone connected with that campaign in a room and say, from the time you saw Dr. Zhivago until the moment you drank vodka with a guy named Boris, you list every single one of those, and we're going to turn them over to the special counsel because this drip is undermining the credibility of this administration.
Let me get this straight. Donald Trump Jr. releases the emails, and he gets excoriated by the media. Even that idiot Joe Scarborough, what kind of an idiot is it that he releases emails? Yeah, he didn't erase them like Hillary Rodham Clinton. Oh, that's right, Trey. You couldn't nail her for that either. Can anybody explain to me why you're so respected and feared on Capitol Hill? This incredible prosecutor. Because you basically suck. You haven't nailed anybody to the wall for anything. But you're jonesing to work with Mueller and your buddies like Jim Comey and nail this president because he took away your party. And no matter what the Trump administration turns over, it'll never be enough, as Newt Gingrich said yesterday on the Laura Ingraham show.
Well, look, I think you have to assume that for all 8 years of the Trump presidency, we will be engaged in a civil war with the bureaucracy. and that the bureaucracy will be leaking every way it can and doing everything it can to slow down what's going on. You see the same thing happening in the Senate, where the Democrats are methodically blocking the various nominations, as the Wall Street Journal outlined in a lead editorial this morning. And this is just all, the Trump people have not yet come to grips with the reality that they were a hostile takeover of the Republican Party, and they were a hostile takeover of the country in the sense that the national establishment repudiated them both times and lost. And so the establishment's not going away. It's not going to roll over and say, oh, gee, the American people picked Donald Trump. I guess I better get used to it. Instead, what they're doing is they're saying, I'm going to slow him down, undermine him, weaken him, do everything I can to stop him from being effective. And we're living through that, and that's what you're watching.
And you're watching Republicans like John McCain do it, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, and now Huckleberry Hound fraud Gowdy. Boom! Because no matter what the president says or does, they want him.
Let the New York Times and Washington Post be happy covering trivia. But in the long run, I don't think this is going to come to anything. But on the left, it gives them something to write about and be excited about, and allows them to avoid thinking about how bankrupt their ideology is.
But even though it's not going to come to anything, it's a continual drag on this administration. And Trey Gowdy isn't pointing out the drag. He is part of the drag. Everybody in Washington knows nothing's going to happen to Donald Trump Jr. Actually, he's not going to jail. There was no crime committed here. But they can work the media up. The Democrats have something to talk about. On that aspect, Newt's 100% right. But when you hear Republicans like Trey Gowdy, we need to let Bob Mueller do his job on this. They're hoping that somehow Mueller will be able to twist something in such a way they can oust this president. They don't want him, and that includes Fraud Gowdy.
Pastor Marty is on The Drive at 5.
And how appropriate is this next clip? From Halloween 2017, October the 31st, again from the radio archives of the Afternoon Drive, making the case that Trey Gowdy didn't simply botch the Benghazi investigation, he did so on purpose. You need to come to the realization Trey Gowdy, Trader Gowdy, is just that. He is not conservative. He is not one of us. Mr. President, don't trust him, in particular with this impeachment. If we learn anything at all from Benghazi, you let Trey Gowdy become your point man on the impeachment, you're going to be impeached. He's a Trojan horse.
I realize there are many times that we have scratched our heads and wondered, how did Hillary just walk away? How did she get away with it? Now, I have come to the conclusion that the whole charade that went on in Congress, those meetings led by Trey Gowdy to get to the bottom of Benghazi, that whole thing was a setup right from jump. We were set up to believe that somehow, some way, Trey Gowdy, this awesome prosecutor turned congressman, was going to get to the bottom of things. And all we got out of it after, a year and a half, 2 years of looking into it, was Trey Gowdy standing up at a press conference and reading his assessment, reading what he believed went on, but yet having done absolutely nothing to lay an actual finger, an actual glove on Hillary Rodham Clinton. And I think that is by design. I think it is on purpose. Some of you are being taken in right now thinking that Trey's really upset about the way Robert Mueller has gone about this Russian collusion investigation and leaking information to CNN over the weekend and even the heavy-handed indictments that have come down on Paul Manafort. No, Trey Gowdy's upset about this. Now, I don't believe that for a minute. I'm sorry. I'm not seeing it. I'm not feeling it. What I am sensing, and I am serious about this, and if I'm wrong, I will admit it. If I am wrong and Trey Gowdy proves me wrong, I will give him an apology on this program. I will give him an apology on our website. I will give him an apology on my YouTube channel. I will set the record straight. But I don't believe I'm wrong. I believe this is yet another setup, another attempt to make conservatives, make the Trump base think something is being done, that they're going to get to the bottom of things with Hillary Rodham Clinton. I said it yesterday. I'd like to see his bank accounts. I'd like to see who pays him. Because the Benghazi should have been a slam dunk, and he botched it. And I believe botched it on purpose. And I believe, though he's not saying anything, I think it's one of the reasons Jason Chaffetz left Congress. He left Congress because he sees what's happening with the deep state oligarch tying everybody's hands from being ineffectual. And then he sees people even on his, quote, own side of the aisle wearing that R, Republican, which really means raunchy rhino. And he sees them running cover and protection for the policies of Barack Misobotamus, Hillary Rodham Clinton, basically protecting the elitist globalist agenda. And I think Chaffetz just decided enough is enough. I'm not doing this anymore. It's one thing to go up, quote, against the libs when I have to go up against members of my own party and I'm getting, these veiled little threats and being threatened to be kicked off of committees and, we're doing these dog and pony shows for the American people and to give the cable news channels something to talk about in the evenings on a slow news cycle week. But other than that, we're actually accomplishing nothing. And yet we're looking at real crimes taking place and we're allowed to do nothing about it. I think that drove Chaffetz crazy, and I think he stepped out and just said enough. And I think that Trey Gowdy is put out there with that Huckleberry Hound accent and presentation manner that he's got. He wants you to think he's just an old shucks boy that's really going to get to the bottom of things because I was a prosecutor. I was an attorney. I do know the law, yet he's constantly saying, well, I don't know the law about that, and I don't know the law about this, and I don't know that kind of law. But yet he runs these committees and these investigations that go nowhere, produce nothing, other than give some fodder to those of us in conservative talk media, conservative alternative media, gets our hopes up, gets us talking, only in the end not to deliver. So whatever happens, in God's name, please, yes, investigate Hillary Rodham Clinton. Yes, go after her over the dossier. Yes, go after her after Uranium One. But do not put Trey Gowdy in charge of that. Please.
Thank you for watching. Please make sure you're a subscriber to the channel. For those of you that aren't subscribers, please do so and then smack the bell so that you get notification of all of my rants. And please, if you are a subscriber, check that subscription. YouTube just loves to do funny little things like unsubscribe you, even if you didn't do it to yourself. You can share this video to all of your social media platforms. Give us a thumbs up and a like. We'll be back. I can't wait to read what you Trey Gowdy people have to say.